New training footage shows Kate Martin using her body in ways that were completely unimaginable a few years ago. Maxwell Schmartzo, her trainer, has her perform single-leg explosive drills, rebuild her posterior chain from the ground up, perform live one-on-one reps that mimic actual game defense, and develop the vertical explosiveness needed to dunk. It's obvious that since Kate Martin joined the Golden State Valkyries, things have changed. Additionally, when you compare it to her footage from the Las Vegas Aces, where she averaged 2 minutes and 5 minutes, it's nearly impossible to comprehend the difference between those two versions of her. 6 points on a team that wanted her to remain inconspicuous. Caitlin Clark, Kate Martin's dearest friend, adores her readiness to rule. Will Kate Martin rule the 2026 season in your opinion? Tell me in the comments section below. It resembles Kate Martin, the legendary figure from Iowa. Like a defensive back, we aim to cover ground, push forward, and stay low. To cover some ground, push to go, and remain low. Remaining ahead of the offense required fighting, remaining low to move at all times, and never letting the rope become too tight. People tend to forget how important Kate Martin was to that team, so let's discuss what she really was at Iowa. 13 points per game, 6th remaining game, and Iowa women's basketball became one of the most watched thanks to 8 rebounds, 2 consecutive trips to the national championship game, and a relationship with Caitlin Clark. Programs across the nation. Martin was more than just a member of that team. She nailed threes when Iowa needed them, defended several positions, grabbed boards in traffic against larger players, and hardly ever forced a bad play. The Las Vegas Aces took her 18th overall in the 2024 selection after realizing how much the Hawkeyes ran through her. Martin didn't even attend the draft with the expectation of being selected, which is amusing. She arrived in New York to support Game and support Clark, who went with a draft card of her own and was known to be heading first overall to Indiana. Pick 18, roster for the Las Vegas Championship. It sounds like a fantastic scenario, doesn't it? Kate Martin is chosen by the Las Vegas Aces with the 18th choice in the 2024 WNBA draft. However, the minutes never arrived. 2.5 points, 11.5 minutes per game. Jackie Young, Chelsea Gray, Asia Wilson, and Kelsey Plum were all contributing significantly to the rotation on a squad that had won consecutive championships, leaving no room for a second-round selection to truly flourish. Martin's already limited role became much more limited when Chelsea Gray returned from injury. In the playoffs, she averaged 3 minutes over 6 games. 3 minutes. That player isn't in rotation. It's a uniform. Strangely, fans continued to follow Martin even after Vegas stopped using her. Sales of jerseys remained robust. She continued to generate a lot of interest on social media, and Becky Hammond gave her the moniker Money Martin, which began to spread like wildfire. 5 minutes every night. Kelsey Plum publicly praised Martin's stability and dependability. It wasn't just a charming moniker for Hammond. Every time she set foot on the ground, Martin made this admission. The issue is that each time she touched the ground was support grounded. Essentially never. It's unfortunate that Kate Martin hasn't had as much playing time in the second half of the season. She deserves more, or even a different squad, in my opinion. There is a strong argument that Asia Wilson's position as the franchise's unchallenged face was crucial to the AC's overall culture. And that picture was compounded by a player who showed true fan affection without actually playing. Wilson is among the greatest and a 4-time MVP. Players who are still living. However, the math on a roster centered around a single star prevents organic popularity from spreading to other areas. In Vegas, Martin's development stalled, not because she regressed, but rather because her surroundings didn't support her development. Even though she didn't play a lot of minutes with the Aces last season, Kate Martin is a fan favorite. Her selection by the Valkyries caused a stir on Twitter. It takes a few weeks for most gamers. Must organize their life, ground, it lives, work out the practicalities, and eventually begin moving boxes following a roster relocation. It took Kate Martin 48 hours. She literally began dismantling her Las Vegas residence and emptying her locker at the AC's practice facility as soon as Golden State placed her on their first expansion squad in 2025. Not preparing to pack, but packing. The Las Vegas chapter was in boxes 2 days after the announcement. Claire Granzi, her then-girlfriend, was present throughout it all. More about Martin's feelings in Vegas may be found in the day-in-the-life video from those 48 hours than in any interview. It is devoid of melancholy, lingering, and longing glances around the apartment. She seems concentrated, almost impatient, and goes quickly through each frame. Additionally, the atmosphere seems more like someone who has been waiting a long time for permission to leave than someone who is leaving a location they love. In order to begin packing my place, we had to go acquire boxes. And Claire did a fantastic job with this. She was a great lives, of great assistance. Then, if you are aware of U-Haul. My marketing manager, Sydney, was also quite helpful during this entire process. Before leaving, she did make one more visit to the AC's facilities and bid farewell to veterans like Alicia Clark and Kaya Stokes at a farewell meal. However, it wasn't a long or sentimental supper. It was swift, tidy, and bye. Martin's thoughts had already shifted by the time it was over. I'm really excited. This league is all about opportunity, and you just need one shot, right? I'm very thankful for the Aces and everything I got to learn there, but I'm really excited for this new beginning and to build something up here with the Valkyries. Grateful, sure, but not sentimental and definitely not looking back, she said in an interview with ESPN shortly after the Valkyries selected her. The one-way flight from Las Vegas to San Francisco is the detail that sticks in your memory. It's not a round-trip trip to see the city. It's not an open return, and you don't book a one-way flight unless you've already made up your mind. For Martin, it was obviously decided long before Golden State ever called her name. After that, we went to the facility, and I had to tidy my locker. The realization that I would no longer be practicing at the gym struck me as bittersweet, but I am eager for the next chapter. When you consider that Money Martin was making waves on social media while averaging 11.5 minutes per night, it begins to make sense why she left so quickly. That kind of gap between how fans see you and how much you're own. The Valkyries round-trip Valkyries front office spent 2 months reviewing film and building a roster specifically around players who fit what they wanted to build. Yes, Nyanin mentioned wanting players who had embraced being historians of a brand new franchise, but Martin didn't see that as a sales pitch. The team actually uses you. It doesn't just sting once. I see Kate going to Golden State, though, because she needs to be a part of a developing team, possibly not an established one, and she has a lot of amazing skills, and it seems like she's just a hard worker at that. She's also willing to step into any role that she needs to play on whatever team that will be. So I think she'll do great next season, hopefully get more minutes, and start making a name for herself as a WNBA player. Instead of sitting down with a player and asking them what they want to work on, Maxwell Schmartzo watches film, identifies the physical limitations that actually showed up in games, and builds the program from there. As Martin entered his 3rd year, the Vegas footage provided him with a specific list to work from, and the off-season program he created literally starts at the ground level, targeting the posterior chain, hips, glutes, and single-leg explosive work. Foundation: a guard needs to finish at the rim without getting knocked sideways on contact, hold her ground defensively against larger wings, and accelerate through traffic. Working with Kate Martin today, and my goodness, did she just touch the rim? The single-leg explosive drills stand out the most in the training footage. These are your typical weight room exercises where you squat heavy and call it a day. Instead, they are designed around the precise moments in a basketball game where Martin shouldn't have to think about producing power on a drive. It should happen before her brain catches up, which is what the drill design is actually targeting. We begin the workout with a movement series, working on our foot striking ability, doing an upright stance, etc. Your body needs to produce force off one foot, make a hard cut, drive into the lane, and close out on a shooter, and the reps are structured so that force production becomes automatic. We use the weight room to support our training on the court, so we work on specific postures, positions, and how we express our strength explosively. We don't just want to be strong in a particular lift. We want to be strong when we move, so I believe some carries can be really helpful for upper body work along with learning how to use your body. Actually push and move someone else's body. For a player who logged 11.5 minutes per night during her first professional season, there is a significant difference between her athleticism in college and what it became at the professional level. The reps she missed in Vegas weren't just playing time. They were development reps, the kind where you test your body against elite competition, figure out what breaks down under pressure, and fix it. These drills are great because they're very competitive, and when something is competitive, it's fun and you try really hard. We apply that same concept of competitiveness to our shooting drills, working on the speed of our shot, and some of the eye tracking as well. I can't just sit on my hands. Schmartzo is running a compressed version of the 2-season development process Martin never got to go through, so this off-season is doing a lot of work at once. The sideline and get threes on me, so I had to jump into the drill. This one works on our eye tracking as the ball passes in front of our vision, and this one right here works on us covering some distance. Drop, push to go. So, just like you saw in those lunges, the rim touch and touching footage circulating online is the clearest proof that the training is actually translating into something physical. Martin touching a 10-foot rim isn't a stunt. It's a direct result of the posterior chain and explosiveness work, and Schmartzo has noted that it also manifests in her jump shot mechanics and release speed, because the same leg drive that gets her hand to the rim is the same force that gets the ball out faster on her jumper. You can't fake that on film. After the on-court work begins, the drills switch to eye tracking during shooting, footwork patterns both off the dribble and off the catch, and live one-on-one repetitions. That put Martin in both offensive and defensive scenarios at game speed at the same time. The eye tracking work focuses on improving her shooting mechanics to the point where her release remains steady even when a hand is in her face. This is the precise difference between a player who looks fantastic in practice and one who can be relied upon in a close fourth quarter. After we warm up, we get some footwork preparation before switching to more basketball-specific drills. Applying the same acceleration concept to the court, these are turn-and-run full-speed finishes. As soon as the ball touches the ground, Kate gets to go, and I'm trying to tag her on the back. If I tag her before she scores, I get a point. If she scores, she gets a point. Ball handling and finishing in traffic are receiving equal attention because Natalie Nikas's. The one-on-one work isn't just conditioning, it's the closest thing to real game experience she can get before the season begins. When discussing what Martin brought into this offseason, Schmartzo put it simply, the basketball IQ is never the problem. She came from Iowa with fully developed competitive instincts, decision-making skills, and defensive awareness. What the training is doing now is building the physical tools to match what was already there mentally. It just meant that the physical development was frozen while the IQ continued to grow. Next, we mess with some of the footwork we were training earlier, but this time with the ball in our hand, working on swiping off an offhand touching offhand and bumping the body. After the higher intensity offhand work, we do some volume competitive shooting, keeping track of scores and trying to win specific spots. By 2026, the ceiling Martin is operating at looks structurally different from that old basketball thing with some acceleration. Doubly creates space from the defender. I'm trying to go block the ball. The minute I hear the ball bounce, I can run after it. Caitlin Clark has been watching the footage from Indianapolis, and she hasn't kept quiet about it. The Valkyries don't need Martin to average 25 points and carry the franchise on her back. Instead, they need her to do what she's always done, defend 2 or 3 positions, hit open threes, pull down boards, and make the right pass instead of the flashy one. The difference in 2026 is that she will actually get real minutes to do all of that, which completely alters how her season unfolds. Golden State doesn't enter this season with an established hierarchy like the Aces, where 4 veterans have already divided up the rotation and a second-round pick has to fight for scraps. Nas is still establishing culture on a 1-year-old franchise and Martin's. When Nikas publicly discusses confidence and loyalty as the cornerstone of what she's building in Golden State, Martin is the player on that roster who most naturally fits that description. I mean, we've seen it with Kate Martin and how celebrated she has been since being selected by the Valkyries. She is now the face of the Golden State Valkyries roster, which consists of a mix of foreign players and veterans like Ilana Rupert, Veronica Burton, and Kayla Thornton, are all still figuring out their roles. So Martin isn't up against a wall of players who have already claimed their spots. Rather, There's room for her, and the organization purposefully placed her there. That does come with pressure, though, as Bay Area supporters are purchasing Martin jerseys. In contrast to sitting at the end of a Vegas bench where no one expected anything from her, the Valkyries built a fan base faster than most expansion teams do, and Martin's face is currently the one most attached to that energy. However, Kate Martin is a needle mover in that sense because she is well-liked and her fans feel an attachment to her. So when she goes to Golden State, you can anticipate that clothing will sell because anyone who wants a Valkyries jersey will buy it, including Kate Martin fans, Iowa fans, and people who want to support the Valkyries. However, she carried weight at Iowa without flinching. Clark was the team's global story, and Martin's entire job was to make everything around Clark work without needing recognition for. The off-season footage indicates that she has been specifically preparing for a version of herself that can absorb it and still play basketball. The defensive versatility and rebounding instincts that gave her 6.8 boards per game in college didn't disappear in Vegas. They simply had nowhere to go. Now, the recognition is truly coming her way. Schmartzo added, "On the court, we work on a lot of defense, and after our defensive work, we work on some offensive acceleration, shooting, and scoring at the rim. A lot of these moves put a lot of demand on your hips." She also mentioned the explosiveness, finishing, and physical confidence that come from spending an entire offseason with a trainer who is treating her like a breakout player, not a depth piece. Finally, we play some live one-on-one. We want to work on trying different moves here. This is where you get to work on things you wouldn't always do in practice with a team. That's how you get better. Yes, I got caught slipping right here. She caught me leaning into some of those twitches. You need to be able to stabilize and load through the movement to explode into your jump shot. Watch the early Valkyries aims against teams with smaller, less physical guards. That's where the new Martin first appears. Her ability to body up and defend through contact on Valkyries in those matchups will be immediately apparent. You can see some really good off-farm arm work here. Swipe the arm down, bump off, and create space.
Check out all the space we create with this.
Clark posted, "As soon as Golden State drafted Cater, let's go." And that wasn't cheerleading. The Aces will spend the next 12 months observing what they gave up for 11.5 minutes every night. Kate Martin is currently performing single-leg drills, rim touches, and live one-on-one reps with Schmartzo. Clark knows exactly what Martin looks like when the environment finally fits. A portion of it can be traced back to a gym in Iowa City and a friendship that began when two college students were just trying to win basketball games. Clark and Martin went on 2 consecutive national championship game runs together, and that kind of shared experience doesn't just fade because you end up on different rosters in different cities. Martin went to Vegas and sat behind a dynasty, while Clark went to Indiana and became the face of the Fever, a cultural moment that went far beyond basketball. It wasn't really useful to her. The paths couldn't have been more different, yet nearly immediately after Golden State selected Martin, Clark wrote on Instagram, "Let's go, Cater." What people frequently overlook about their connection is that it was never established on equal footing. At Iowa, Clark was the worldwide story and Martin's entire. Martin's job was to make everything around Clark work, guard the best perimeter player on the opposing team, grab the rebound when it mattered, hit the open three, and then return to defense without anyone noticing. She did this for years without seeming to resent any of it, which tells you a lot about who she really is as a person. I know a lot of fans online just wanted to see her away from the Aces because they don't really like the Aces, but just when the dynamic has changed, with Clark watching from Indianapolis as Kate Martin receives her own spotlight in the Bay Area, her own jersey sales, and her own fan base that showed up quickly and loudly for the Valkyries. Clark is obviously happy about it, not in a performative way, but in the way you're happy when someone you genuinely care about finally gets what they deserve. When it comes to their professional lives, that's what 2 consecutive championship runs and years of sincere friendship truly look like. It's not coordinated posts or joint appearances. Rather, it's Clark typing, "Let's go, Cater," because that's the honest reaction. Martin was underutilized on a club that didn't need her to develop for 2 years in Vegas, and now she's in Golden State with a coach who genuinely wants her there, a trainer who is rebuilding her athleticism from the ground up, and a best friend in Indiana who already knows exactly how good she can be. Do you think Kate Martin will dominate this 2026 season? Please share your thoughts in the comments section below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and enable all notifications so you don't miss anything. Click on the video on the screen, and we'll see you in the next